Hey guys, now Urban Decay came out with a brand new collection recently. Now Urban Decay, I think, collaborated with an artist, or maybe this entire collection is inspired by his artwork. So this is called the UD, it says right here, the UD Jean-Michel Basquiat. That's how it's pronounced. I'm clueless, completely clueless as to how it's pronounced. Anyways, there's a couple of eyeshadow palettes, and then there's a face palette, and then there are like a few lipsticks, and then there are a few beautiful eyeliners. Now I picked up the eyeshadow palettes and the face palette. So today for this video we'll be talking about both the eyeshadow palettes. Now let's look at the first palette. Now this palette is called the TENANT. It says at the back, TENANT eyeshadow palette. In the front of the box it has the artwork of the artist, and then at the back it has the colors that is housed in this palette, just a glimpse of the colors. And then it says that housed in a mini reproduction of the Basquiat's artwork. This special edition palette features 8 exclusive brights inspired by his paintings, and then also says that it has a double-ended brush. So yeah, now it also has the list of ingredients here, over here, and then also I think just that this is in a different language, I think. Yeah, it just has ingredients, list of ingredients here, and also here, I'm sorry, both are the list of ingredients. So let's look at the actual eyeshadow palette. And oh wait, the amount of product you get here is 0.04 ounce. Now there are 8 eyeshadows, as you can see at the back. There are 8 eyeshadows with an eyeshadow brush, and then each pan carries 0.04 ounce of product, and I paid $39 for this. Yeah, and I bought mine at Sephora. I think this is available everywhere where Urban Decay is available. Yeah, $39. I think every other department stores, Nordstrom, Macy's, where else, Ulta. Yeah, so now this is what the actual product looks like. This is the exact replica of the box, the actual palette. Now this eye look is what I have from this eyeshadow palette. Now this has like, the opening has like this. Is this a claw or a crown? I'm not sure. If you turn it this way it looks like a crown, but from here it looks like a claw. So, or maybe it's a signature of the artist. I'm not sure. So yeah, you actually, if you open it, it does come with a mirror, and it looks like a box. So if you open it, it's like a box. It's not open here. Usually eyeshadow palettes have an opening here, right? But it doesn't have. And it does come with a mirror, which is nice. And then these are the gorgeous eyeshadows, and it does come with a double-ended eyeshadow brush. Now this is like a flat side shader brush, and then this is like a, I don't know, like a smudger brush. This is also flat, it's not fluffy. It's like more like a smudger, like underneath your lash line. Anyways, so these are the gorgeous eyeshadows. Let me just swatch each one of them, and then I'll let you guys know how each performed. Then I'll give you guys like a roundup of the eyeshadow palette. Now this is called Entitled, and that is a matte. It's very pigmented, guys. This eyeshadow is very pigmented. I did not have any problems with applying this or blending it out. It was pretty good. The color is so pretty. It's like it's not like a navy blue, but at the same time it's not like a cobalt blue. It's somewhere in between. It's like an ink blue. And then you have the shade Boom. This is Boom. Boom is like a teal shade. This is what I have in the center of the eyelids. Now this, I know it looks green, but on the eyes, if you see, it kind of turns darker once you apply it on the eyelids. So yeah, that's something to consider if you think it needs to be considered. So yeah, as you can see, it looks kind of more darker than it's in the pan. My hand swatch kind of turns darker once it touches the skin. Then it's EXU, I think, and that's like a lime green. It's very pretty. That is a shimmer shade. These two are mattes. And then you have Graffiti. Graffiti is like a forest green, bottle green, it has like black tones to it, undertones to it. So yeah, that's Graffiti. That's shimmer as well. Then you have Less. Less is a black shade, just a straight up matte black. Now I forgot to tell you guys, this lime green, I know Swatch looks good, but when you use an eyeshadow brush, it needs a little bit of layering, say 2 layers. So definitely it needs 2 times, so 2 to 3 times. I do have hyperpigmentation. This lime green is the one I have in the inner corner of the eyelid. So since I do have hyperpigmentation just in the inner corner of my eyelids, I did have to layer it up like 3 to 4 times. Otherwise, I think just 2 layers would do the trick. But this bottle green is pretty pigmented. It doesn't need any kind of layering. And the black, it is pigmented, no doubt about that. But I did have some trouble blending that shade actually. I did struggle a little bit to blend that particular shade, and that is Neo, N-E-O, Neo. This dark purple is becoming very trendy. This is the 3rd palette where I'm seeing this dark purple. I saw this purple in Kat Von D's Serpentina palette, and then I also saw it in Kat Von D's Metal Matte palette, and then now here. Now again, this is a matte shade. This purple is a matte shade. Again, as purples give troubles, this purple also is a bit problematic. This is a purple that I have in the outer corner of my eye and also in the crease. This gave me, I had to layer it so much, guys. Even on top of a primer, I had to layer this particular shade a lot. It did blend good after I layered it, but I had to work a lot with these 2 shades, the black and the purple. I had to put in a lot of effort with these 2 matte shades. So yeah, and then you have 1960 is this kind of a mid-tone pink. This does have like a very slight shimmer to it, but this is good. This shade is good. This is pretty pigmented. It layers well. In fact, it doesn't need a lot of layering. Maybe I do have a hyperpigmentation in the inner corner of my eyelid, so I did have to layer it a bit when I tried to use it. But in this eye look, I haven't. Actually, I do have it. I have used this as my transition shade, just above this purple, just to give it a little bit of a transition from pink to purple. So yeah, this is good. This is a good shade. And then finally, we have Studio. Studio is like a very white based baby pink matte shade that literally is so stark on my skin. Does not have a hint of pink, to be honest. When it touches my skin, it just looks white, and it actually, when I tried to just blend it, it just blended off. I didn't see any like a stain of white base on my skin. I don't know what that color is. It just, when I blended on my skin, it just went away. I didn't see any that white base or any remnants of this particular color at all. So yeah, so these are the final swatches of all these colors. These 2 final thoughts. The first 2 shades are actually very good. I really like them, but this particular green teal looks kind of bluish in the pan, but once it touches, do you see how like kind of green, kind of dark it's turned? But these 2 perform very well, and this particular green needs layering, and these 2 shades gave me a lot of trouble, guys. All in all, I would say this is a pretty average palette. I wouldn't even give this like a B+, but I will say I absolutely love the outcome that I did, because the color selection is absolutely fantastic, guys. The color selection is so pretty that if you put in a lot of hard work, you will end up with a beautiful eye look. I am in love with this eye look that I've done, and but you do need to put in quite a bit of effort with this palette, I feel, because these two shades are not it takes up so much to build up. The pigmentation is very low on this purple, and this black is pigmented, but the blending, I did struggle a bit with blending. But besides these two, all of these shades I didn't face so much trouble. But this is just an 8 shadow palette, and out of which 2 are giving me trouble, so I don't know what to say. So yeah, it's for you guys to consider whether you want this palette or not, and this retails for $39. Now let's move on to the neutral eyeshadow palette, and this is called the Gold GRIOT eyeshadow palette. And this and what does it say at the back? Again, I think it says the exact same thing. Housed in the mini reproduction of the Basquiat's artwork, this is a special edition eyeshadow palette. So yeah, it just says the same thing at the back. And this is like a glimpse of the colors that you get in the palette. And this is also an 8 pan eyeshadow palette, and this also retails for $39. Now this doesn't, like, usually you would expect it to like open like this, but this opens like upwards like this. So to be honest, I found it a little bit difficult to hold this palette and do my makeup, because I would have to like hold it like this and do it. You know what I mean? This is how the palette opens, so I would have to hold it like this and do it. So I don't know, it was kind of out of the ordinary, and I just found it a little bit difficult. So these are the shades, and also this also comes with a two-sided double-sided eyeshadow brush. These are the eyeshadows that you get. Now on this eye, I have used this entire eyeshadow palette. I've used this gold in the inner corner, and then I have used, this is actually a very unconventional look, but it has come out really well. I love it. And this gray, I've mixed this warm toned yellow and this cool toned gray. Gray is what I have in the 2/3 of my eyelid, and then in the crease I have yeah, I have this black. I'm sorry, this is not black. This has also some blue tones to it. Very dark navy blue, I would say, almost black, of course. So that is what I have in the crease. So yeah, this is the eyeshadow look, which I'm very happy with the look that I got with both the eye looks. But yeah, let's talk about this eyeshadow palette. Let me do swatches first. Now this is Crown. This is Crown. This is a very pigmented eyeshadow, guys. The gold, this is very pretty and also pigmented. I do have like hyperpigmentation, so I had to just layer it on twice. But if you don't have hyperpigmentation, I don't think you would need to even layer this up. This is a very good shade. And then you have Pseudonym. Pseudonym is that very dark bluish black color. And that is, it's not like completely matte. It does have like shimmers like sprinkled there, but when you blend it out, it does look matte. And then you have BK. BK is a gray color. Actually, the shade BK is very good. It did not, I did not need any layering at all. It is pretty pigment. I know the swatch doesn't look very impressive, but it's a pretty pigmented eyeshadow. It went on beautifully. I didn't have any issues, and it does look very true to the pan, as you can see. It does look gray and very good. It's like a beautiful cement color. And then you have Influence. Influence is this very bronze shade, I would say, just bronze, and that is a shimmer shade. Now this shade is also good. It doesn't need a lot of layering. I would say go with 2 layers for if you want to get that true opacity that you see in the pan. And then this shade, again, I'm not very happy with this. This is called Sucker Punch. The shade Sucker Punch is a very dark blackened brown with gold glitters just here and there. This is a very, do you see how bad the shade is. It's so sheer, guys, and no matter how much you build it up, this is beyond help. This shade is beyond help. It's not good at all. No matter how much you try to build it up, it does not show up. At least on my skin tone, it does not show up. Maybe if you have like a lighter skin tone, it might show up, but on my skin tone, no matter how I tried and tried and tried, but no use. Okay, and then this is Not For Sale. Not For Sale is a very pretty shade, and that is pretty pigmented. It's like an, let me do it here. It's like an orangey shade, and it's a matte shade. It's very pigmented. I do not actually have to layer it at all. It's very nice. And then you have Levitation. Levitation is this very pale beige matte shade. That is Levitation. I know you can't see anything because it is so pale, and honestly I don't think it's very pigmented. It's hard to test on my skin tone, I feel, this particular shade, because it kind of looks very light on my skin tone, so I feel it's very hard to test. But my opinion, and from what from what I tested on my skin tone, it's not very pigmented. It's very sheer. And then finally, this is Levitation, and this is finally Enigma. Enigma is like a very off-white shade. It's not beige, and Enigma is actually quite pigmented, if you ask me, and that is also a matte. So yeah, my first concern, well, it's not like the greatest concern, because it's not like a rule of thumb that I always use a transition shade. It's just what I feel. Sometimes I use a transition shade, sometimes I don't. But here I do not have a transition shade for my skin tone. The only one very pretty close is this particular shade. Maybe if I mix this and this, maybe I might get a transition shade. But then again, this shade is very, very sheer, and it just disappears. When I try to blend it on my skin, it just goes away. I can't see any like pigmentation. This beige, whether it gives me a white cast or does not give me a white cast, I don't see it at all. When I do this windshield wiper motion on my skin tone, it just goes away. I don't see it at all on my eyelids. So yeah, I don't think, maybe this and this, maybe if you mix, I might get my skin tone transition shade. But honestly, you don't see a transition shade, and this shade is like very, very bad. Not good at all. But besides this particular shade, I think most of it is pretty good. I love these two shades, the gold and the gray. These two are very, very pretty, and this is just your regular bronze shade, and this is, guys, not good at all. No matter how much you build up, even on top of primer, it doesn't build up and show up on my skin tone. So yeah, again, my final verdict on this this palette. Now here is the final swatches. Here and here I do have 3 shades here, 3 matte shades and 2 shimmer shades, and then these 2 are kind of a matte. I think the gray is kind of a satin shade, and this is a matte, and then this is that very, very poor, like very deep brown shade. So yeah, all in all, I think the neutral palette, again, I feel it's a very average palette. I don't know, I still haven't made up my mind if I want to keep this or not. I think I'm definitely returning the neutral palette, because I'm not a neutral kind of girl. So that too, if this is like definitely an average palette, guys. It's not like extremely uber pigmented or anything. It's very, very average. And yeah, I think it's up to you whether you want to buy this or not. I think there are like so many neutral palettes out in the market that you do not have to like spend $39 on this palette, where you only have 8 shades in this, and out of which just I would say just 3 shades are absolutely fantastic. The gold, the gray, and this orangey brown shade. These 3 are really, really good, but besides them, I think nothing much. So yeah, and this shade, as a roundup, this particular palette is definitely better, I feel, in quality, and definitely you can make it work. because no matter how pigmentation is lacking in this particular shade, you can definitely build it up. As you can see, I have built it up. Somehow you can definitely make this palette work if you really like it. And as I said, the color selection is so beautiful and so fantastic that if you really put in some effort, the final look is beautiful. I actually so much in love with this eyeshadow look that I came up with. So yeah, there you guys. I don't think we've talked about the packaging. This is a completely cardboard packaging. Both the eyeshadow palettes come in a cardboard packaging. So yeah, and it is magnetic. So when you open it up, it does close, like it is magnetic, and the packaging is pretty sturdy. It's not flimsy or anything. The packaging is pretty good, and I think it's so beautiful that it does have like the artwork of this particular artist. I think it's so pretty. It does give a special twist to the eyeshadow palette. So yeah, $39 for each, and you can find them literally everywhere Urban Decay is available. So I don't think you would I think these are like very widely available. You shouldn't have a problem for getting your hands on these if you're interested. And yeah, my verdict on these palettes, these are pretty average. I would say maybe somewhere in between average to good. I would say not between a bad to average. It's not like that. It's like somewhere between average to good. So yeah, I think it's up to you. If you're really interested, I would say get them and try them and then decide, because you might like them. So yeah, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and please give this video a thumbs up if you liked watching it, and please subscribe. Bye.